Steve, it's El Paso elsewhere this week, and this is a really interesting third-person kind of bullet-timey shooter. You're navigating an elevator to hell, essentially. Goes through a whole storyline that actually gets quite gripping, but mostly it's just running from room to room, shooting everybody in the room and moving on. What was your first impression of this one?
This is so addictive and so much fun. I mean, graphically, it's very kind of simplistic, but it works so well in this game. Obviously, you're playing a guy called James Savage, who you don't know too much of a backstory, because as you progress through the different levels or the different floors, you get a bit more of a story of what's going on. And he's basically in love with a woman that is not all who she makes out to be. And you're out to stop her, and you have to take on basically a horde of different creatures and demons and different things as you go through different floors and try and rescue people on the way, and then get yourself to the elevator to progress to the next floor. You only start off with basic weapons, like you start off with a double pistol to start off with, but as you go through you get like the shotgun or an assault rifle and things like that. And to be honest with you, it's so much fun. But I do love the slow motion part in this, when you get massive hordes of demons, that you can actually do a back jump and have the pistols in front of you as you're shooting and pick off these demons or werewolves.
Yeah, that was something that, well, it was an obvious nod to Max Payne. And this game is very much Max Payne. That's the easiest way I could explain it, is you're going through this story, you're this broken, battered individual on your road to redemption. Your vampire girlfriend has started to transform into the next stage of vampire, and that's caused kind of a hell on earth to happen. That's where all these people come in, and you can actually execute them. You don't have to be a good guy, by the way. That's just a weird aside, but it's very inspired by Max Payne, and that's why I say it could almost just be another in that entry, except for the simplicity. The simplicity of the graphics is something that is almost jarring at first when you see this guy's weird kind of face thing, but when I found later on, and this game is quite long, later on it gets to an actual emotional exposition. There's a few times where he's on an elevator talking about his motivation, why he's here, who he is, and it's powerful. It affected me, and I'm quite emotionally mute. But we get back into the action, and it's not a roguelite, but it feels that way. There are checkpoints throughout some of the missions, but most of the time when you die, you're back at the elevator, because it's kind of a small section, and that's really my only complaint that I can find, other than one more, but I'll get there shortly. The map design is really basic, so a lot of the time you're going through these kind of torn up places, but there's no rooftop, and you can just kind of see into this void, this kind of strange visualization that's happening. The rooms don't make any sense. A lot of these houses are just twisting hallways, things that don't make sense. It's all explained well through the story, because these are twisted imagination things coming to real life, but it kind of got annoying sometimes trying to find where you're supposed to go and maybe find the last person that's hidden somewhere. And there is also kind of a limit when it comes to enemy types. There are more as you progress through the game, but for the most part I found myself just kind of slow-mo jump, shoot everything in the room, and it was safe to move on.
Yep, and there's also, like, you have your dive as well, because some points you cannot go through doorways, so you actually have to dive through little windows, which are kind of cool to do a little somersault. And as you mentioned about the different floor plans of each room, is yes, they are slightly different, but you cannot progress to the elevator until you've actually opened up all the doors or find some hearts as well, because throughout the game you do find certain hearts. And what you have to do is also destroy a lot of furniture as well, because you get stakes, that wooden stakes that you actually need for your melee attack, basically.
Yeah, some of those iron suits of armor come at you, and you need the stake to put them down, and it becomes an interesting kind of frantic scramble. You're taking pills. There's another shout out to Max Payne, is the painkiller pills to heal back up. There are not many of them around. Sometimes you can get into some hard issues, and That's where my main complaint with this game comes from, is the technical issues. There were several times, I want to say it was level 16, 31, and 38, and each of these times there was glitches where the enemies either wouldn't spawn, they would spawn and not move, or in a very specific instance, I couldn't kill the very last enemy. He's a very big guy, you gotta wear him down twice, hit him with 2 stakes. I could do it, but his health bar didn't appear, and he just wouldn't die. It would just, I was stuck there in limbo, which I think might be kind of the point of the story, but it wasn't very fun to be stuck behind a locked door like that, and that's my biggest gripe.
Yeah. So Scott, I have to say my time on El Paso elsewhere has been a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I found it very addictive, and I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10 because it is what I keep saying. It is so much fun, and it's done really, really well. How about yourself?
Yeah. It has that action that had me coming back for more, and the story was enough to bring me from level to level. I cared about what was going on, and that was really important. I think the action is there, and it's fun. It's just really that the simplicity and that technical issue has lowered my score. I have to give this an 8. It's complicated. I really liked it, but there was some issues.
Wait, you're back.
Translation. Congratulations, you won.